everybody. Welcome to the SyFy Sistas live show on a Tuesday night. We are so happy to be here. Ori Silversmith proudly serves as the official sponsor of the live show. Explore Ori Silversmith for beautifully crafted jewelry, including the SyFy Sistas collection, ding ding ding, which I'm wearing to show you, by clicking the link provided in the show description. Also, this week, the live show is sponsored by the Let's Talk About Treks podcast, an episodic review of today's best visions of the future. So thank you to our sponsors. We got our business with America done. Now let's do that other business with America. We have the most amazing guest tonight, and we are so excited. And she really needs zero introduction to our people. She is the one, the only Gates McFadden. Welcome to the SyFy Sistas live show.
Well, I am real thrilled, absolutely happy to be here. It's like it's taken a while, but I am so glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for the persistence and sticking with us and like being down and like just being you. So we're gonna like breathe. All right, sisters, breathe. You mean so much to us. This is like y'all out there in the audience. Y'all saw us freak out with Nana Visitor. You've seen us freak out with Terry Farrell, and now you're gonna watch us freak out with Gates McFadden. These are the three women that literally like meant everything to us. Like, I mean, we can't get Nichelle Nichols, so you know, you guys were it for us coming up. You know, well, for some of us, like. We got multi-generational here, so that's why, you know, but Gates, we're so, we got to give you the flowers before we do anything else, you know, because that's what we believe in. We believe in letting people know how important you are to us, how much you've affected us in our lives. And you were that woman who represented this confident, knowledgeable, smart character that we were not seeing a lot of when they let you do it. When they actually let you doctor, you were doctoring the hell out of everybody. So on the behalf of SyFy Sistas, I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you for saying that. That's really nice. I am very grateful. You know, you do a role and you discover much later the impact the role had, and obviously it's the whole mishigas. It's the script, the costume, the production elements, the cameraman, the cast, and it's taken me years to understand the impact, and it's pretty amazing. And I'm so happy that I've been a part of it, because I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from it, just so many aspects of it.
I think it's amazing. We definitely want to talk about the podcast Investigates, which is awesome. But before we get to that, I just want to do a little bit of ask you about some other stuff.
Yeah,
we have good. Thank you. Like we have questions to ask. You know.
Yep. Oh, there you are. Okay. All right.
Ta-da! Hello. Oh, I like those. Those are cute.
Those were my dad's. I just changed the prescription. My dad.
No way.
Oh, that's cool. That is so. It is.
Really cool.
I know that's so cool that those frames look really good on your face too.
Well, I don't. You know, whatever. It is what it is. They're the only ones that stay on my face. So.
Okay.
So, you bring back Dr. Crusher in Picard. And we were so stoked. I know, right? Yes, right, Fran? Do it.
Yes. You see my little tagline down there?
What's it said?
Badass
Badass Beverly from Picard. I love it.
Did you have specific intentions for her when you went back, or did they already have a Beverly Crusher in mind that they wanted to bring to the screen?
Terry Matalas, he did have in mind that he wanted her to be more of a badass. He had really liked the character in Next Gen. He was a big Next Gen fan, and I think he had really liked the character and felt she was underused. So he wanted to do that, and he was very open to discussions. We talked about a lot of different things, things that I wanted to bring in, and he added them in to the idea in different scenes. I wanted, for example, something to be said about the fact that Wesley Crusher had left and she hadn't seen him. You know, to have a child just take off and you don't know where they are, or you can't, you know, be in touch with them or anything. That's something that should be mentioned. And just take a look at her history of her husband dying, and um, she didn't have her parents, and then her son leaves. I think that's part of how she was formed.
Mhm.
So I did want little mentions of things like that, and I love that the thing that it's not that he didn't see the whole character, but you know, he allowed us to talk about different parts of it. And I said, I don't want it to just be she's the vehicle for bringing in the new Jack Crusher.
Mhm.
I want her to be, you know, that's just one part, and that can be there, but she's a scientist, and I want her to never stop wanting to find the solution and the answers. And he really honored me on that. I felt that all the way through the end, she found so many of she discovered so many things that actually helped to solve what was going on. And
Right.
even at the very end, to be able to trace where Jack Crusher was by looking at his life signs, you know, so that was really nice. I like that a lot.
We did too.
We did.
know?
Yeah, we did too. We wanted more, but I'm happy with what we got.
I mean, honestly, like I could just
Definitely.
watch a whole show centered around Beverly.
Yes. Yeah.
Beverly.
Beverly.
Beverly, yes.
Let's
Right.
do it. Let's do it.
Yes, I mean,
I was disappointed. I mean, I'm gonna just say it. I think I loved when you first came out, it was great, but I really thought there was gonna be more Beverly. I
Yeah.
think once you got there, it was great, but then you kind of relegated back to the same old role again. You were kind of in the background, and it was about your son again instead of the smart, you know, doctor who was right all the time.
Well,
And-
I think she did find the thing about the changelings. She realized how to, and then you know, in the scene with Jordy and Data, I mean, she's really figuring it out. I think. I mean, look, it's very hard to get all of those major characters when they're all together. How are you going to do 10 episodes? I mean, that's what it really boils down to.
Yeah.
Terry did a masterful job. Of course, we all would have liked more of all of our
all
characters.
of us.
I mean, I was sorry that I had to be so hurt that I was out of it for the second episode. But
right.
But on the other hand, you know, that's what it was, and it was better than anything I'd had really in Next Gen when you think about it in terms of the whole character. Obviously, there was not too much humor, but because it was so intense.
Right.
And when we were doing Next Gen, I loved any moments for humor. I loved so. But yeah, it would have been fun. It would be really fun to have a whole show that's just Troy, Tasha, and Beverly.
Hell yes.
Hell yeah.
Wouldn't that be good? And just like what was really going on, and then the men just sort of popping in now and
Popping
again.
in and out, going.
We can have the opposite of the Bechdel test, like for them, like if the men can be part of scenes as they support the women in the cast.
Right.
You know?
I love that.
But you know what I want to, and I'm not jumping into this because we can go back and you can talk about anything. But I think what is great, and I noticed this with my podcast and also with the new people that I'm meeting, because, you know, you meet them at conventions, you meet them at different events. I think they have picked incredibly wonderful people, human beings, first of all. They're really, really amazing.
We say that all the time, yeah.
It's really true. And that doesn't always happen. So, you know, when you look at Sonequa Martin Green, David Ajala, Michelle Hurd, Todd Stashwick, Ethan, I mean, they're all, Doug Jones, Ethan Peck. It's amazing, really. They're all so interesting. And there's like 10 more that you want to have an in-depth conversation with because you're drawn to them and you see why they were cast. And that's pretty great, actually. I really love the new people. I loved all the people in Lower Decks. Really, really wonderful. I have no clue why that was canceled. That was just
thank you.
Oh, I don't know why either.
You know, it's so funny,
good.
Gates, you saying that about them. And we always talk about how in the beginning, when Discovery first came on,
I was just going to bring that up.
When Discovery first came out, you were there.
Yes.
Like you were at that premiere. You don't think that nobody saw that. We definitely saw that.
We
saw you support all those new shows every time they came out. It was you. It was nobody else. I mean, Franks was there, but he was getting paid. So, I mean, you were going to the premieres. You were supporting that cast when nobody else was supporting, especially that Discovery cast. So I want to put that out there. They are great humans, but they're really also big fans of yours.
Oh, well, I mean, the thing is that it's absolutely true. What's nice is to not have to BS about it. Like I literally enjoy hanging out with these actors who are so much younger than me, but I mean, they're fabulous. You know, it's just like, and then also people like Dawn. I mean, Dawn's like unbelievable woman. Holy cow, the stuff she's done.
Dr. Dawn.
I mean, and so nice, you know, I mean, really, really nice. And I think we were doing a Women of Star Trek. This happened recently.
Yeah, we were there.
We were there. We were there at the end. Yeah, at the end. Yeah.
And it was, but I don't really. Okay, it was Dawn, Michelle, Sonequa.
Yes.
And Tony wasn't there. I don't.
No, it was
Terry was there. Nana.
And
Ashley was there.
But there was some of us doing a panel. And Dawn is the one, she said, Gates, so you've been here. So what is different? I said some things, you know, and then she said some things, and I went, wait a minute. What's different is I'm the only white person on this stage.
That's right.
Wow.
That was so different.
Oh, was that was the one you talking about? You were at a convention for that.
We were at a convention.
Yeah.
And
this wasn't the one we just did.
But it was amazing because it just felt so natural and right. And I was like, wow. I mean, that's a huge change.
Yeah.
That you know, it was fabulous. So obviously there's certain areas that culture is moving, you know, even though there's a lot of areas we seem to be going the other way. But that struck me big time because I just felt completely like so happy to be in that group. So happy to be part of it, you know? And everyone felt so equally powerful. That's the other thing. There was nobody who played like power thing, right? It was like,
love that.
It was really nice. Yeah.
Can I ask? Go ahead, friend.
To piggyback on what Yvette said, there were interviews where you were on a panel with the other people, and it was more than once too. And the interviewer asked about the new shows, and you always said, he said, and they would say, well, have you watched them? And you always said, yes, I watched them, and they're great. And that was more than once that I saw, that I saw you say that. And I know Yvette is saying it, but it was so profound. It was like, I'm like, okay, Gates, okay, giving credit with that. And you said so many times, I love them. Those new shows are great. Yes, I watched them. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, well, I mean, it's easy. I mean, I really like young people are our future, and I feel it. And I'm feeling very good when I meet strong, wonderful young people, and they're so talented, and they seem a lot wiser than I was.
That's one of the things I was going to ask you about, because when you're talking about this dynamic of all these women in Star Trek at this convention, you know, on a stage together, it seems to me from the outside, what I'm seeing right now is a wellspring of support around one another. They're constantly lifting each other up, as opposed to fighting and being adversarial. And I think, you know, in my untrained opinion, it seems like maybe that I'm wondering if that's a difference in a shift in Hollywood culture, or if this is a specific thing to Star Trek, because yeah.
Well, I think it's our culture is changing as part of it, and I think it is the fact that that we had Sonequa as the lead, and then you have Michelle Yeoh, you have these strong women, and you have different characters. Yes, I feel there's a big shift, both in both places, really. And I felt the other thing that I felt more and more a presence of the females.
Yes.
Just even in the way that we do panels and talk about things. I'm more used to, and I do it myself, where we're kind of being funny and sort of, it's a different thing. But I noticed that Sonequa, Michelle, all of the women really talk from the heart and are saying, well, this is what issues, and there's something, I'm like, oh, okay, this is really a good thing.
Yeah.
I think it is something to do with Black and Brown coming in. I definitely do. I think I was much more told to not do that sort of thing, to put on a sort of presentational manner. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I think it's, and I think it probably hurt me in my life. Instead of just being myself, I was who I thought I should be, and it was not really who I was. And so, you get a distance instead of getting closer.
Yeah.
It was very hard for me to be myself, quote unquote. It's much easier now. And I think I've learned from just watching people, I mean, and just like, when Michelle Obama speaks, I'm like, Lord.
Right?
We all are.
I mean, that is, I don't blame her for not wanting to run for president, but I'm telling you, boy, she's just so smart. She's so smart. And so, I think it's a lot to do with our culture changing. Compared to
that finally catching up with you, Gates. That's what it is.
Well, I was really, in the 1970, I graduated in 1970. It was a very different time. I mean, we were trying, I was thinking back about all of that. Angela Davis.
Because you went to Brandeis, right?
I went to Brandeis. We were strike headquarters.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Please tell us more.
Right? I mean,
it was life-changing. I came from a Midwestern town of Akron, and it was, I was a scholarship student, the Jewish, I was the Catholic scholarship student, and Robin was the Jewish. There were two of us. Everyone else was WASP. Everyone else had belonged to a country club. Everybody else had, rode horses and did tennis. I was like, I got my Girl Scout badge once riding a horse. And they all of them, except for Robin and me, you had a coming out. They did cotillion.
Cotillion, debutantes. Yeah.
I had never heard. I didn't know what the hell cotillion was. It was like, what do you mean coming out? It just didn't compute.
A whole nother meaning back then.
Yeah, right.
Robin's father was a psychiatrist, which I didn't even know what that was. I was like, really, I was like, think of Wonder Bread. Do you know what Wonder Bread was?
Yes. Wonder Bread.
Okay. The only way it tasted good is lots of peanut butter or French toast, but otherwise it was tasteless.
Yeah. It's pretty bland.
And so then all of a sudden, everything was in that kind of vein. And then all of a sudden I end up at Brandeis junior year. And it was just fabulous because it was so radical compared to everything else in my life.
World.
It was, you know what? It was exciting because it was happening. And we had, I think it was one of the only schools that had a Black Studies program.
Well, one of two, I think.
I
think it was San Francisco State started it. Yeah.
I'm from Boston, so Brandeis was that was a place to hang.
And see, the one thing I will say, in Ohio and Akron, there was this liberal history teacher I had. There were just 6 of us in our class for this class, but he taught us all about Vietnam. My parents didn't even know about it. Nobody talked about it much. So this was like really unusual in this very waspy place of all girls school to be talking about it, but he went in depth about it. So I knew all about it and was very anti-war by the time I went to school. And, I had friends. My brother had 36 was his draft number. I had friends who went.
Wow.
And so that's what, so much was happening then. You had, finally, there was this kind of revolution that was happening. And it was well above what I understood, but I learned and I was excited and I wanted to participate. And so soon we had a Vietnam soldier who was AWOL that we kept sanctuary for him. The Black students took over our Black Studies building because they said, this is not enough. Angela Davis, Angela Davis, so intelligent. She spoke so beautifully. And the professor who was her mentor was at Brandeis, Herbert Marcuse, and he talked about, everything was about the new left. So that it's like, instead of just doing revolution only for labor, trying to get a better contract, it was about social justice. It was saying, okay, you want the Black and brown men to fight in Vietnam, but then they can't get jobs when they come home. And then about feminism, that's when it was happening, because now people were seeing, they were discovering the glass ceiling.
Right.
They were out there working, but they were shocked to see that there was this glass ceiling.
Right.
So it was about social justice, and it was about, hey, we're human beings. We're not just about capitalism. And the other day I saw this beautiful black and white film done by Claudia Weil and whoops, my cats are.
Hi, kitty.
Hi, kitties.
We're going to have to move them out soon. But it was, and Eli Noyes, who the two of them did this black and white thing. And this is what was happening. This was kind of the culture that you'd read about. It was the WASP culture. So they were in New York and they were showing all of the men getting on the train in Connecticut going into Manhattan. And they all had their briefcase, all men, all getting onto this train. And you show them and they're walking, and all of them, they get in and the train leaves. And then they show the train coming back. And I thought, oh, it's going to be nighttime and they're coming back. Okay. And then the train opens and all of the black and brown women come up who are going to be maids. And I mean, I got goosebumps. It was, and they were like coming from New York to work and in this place.
In Connecticut, yeah.
Oh, hey. Easy.
It's okay. We love them.
Yeah.
I might have to just open this door.
Yeah, go ahead. No
All
worries.
right, sorry. Calm down, all right? Okay.
No worries.
I tried to feed him so they wouldn't do this. He's got a voice that is like, I mean, I hope you don't hear it, but anyway. Yeah, so it was a really interesting time, and it informed me so much, like, I mean, the Black Panthers came on campus, and they were so tall. And I remember being just me walking in this one part of the campus, and there they came, coming right at me. And I was totally intimidated, and in awe. But it was like all these things that were happening, and I wanted to understand, and I wanted to participate. So, most of the student body, we went on strike and we risked not graduating.
Okay.
And it was pretty powerful time, I think, because there were so many things going on, and the war, we just wanted to get out of the war. It was just like it was all about capitalism. It wasn't about any, and also, Angela Davis was the first one I ever heard of really talking about the incarceration system in this country. And that was back in 1960s.
Yeah.
Right.
She was on that, and like, there's something really wrong about this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a pretty pretty amazing time, I have to say. And then I left this country and went to France to study for a couple of years. So it was just this one period, and it opened me up. It opened up my brain, my heart, everything. It was the first time I had Black students in my class, you know, and the first time I was with any Jewish people other than Robin. She was the only Jewish person I knew. And it was fantastic. You know, there was this, we were doing films, we were just making theater all the time. And then there was the whole hippie part, but I think that's about, we're human beings. We don't want to be machines.
Right.
Did you hear?
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, he
Because it
sounds
reminds
like
me
I'm
of
hitting him or something. That's what he does. Like, she's beating me.
I had a cat who used to talk loud like that too. So
Oh
that's
my
just bringing
God.
back beautiful memories for me. Yeah, I miss it. I love listening to you talk about that time and how, you know, and that when your consciousness is sort of expanding and you're learning all these things, like, you know, really takes me back to, you know, when I first went to college and the first time I ever took a African American history course, you know, because it certainly wasn't being taught in high school, and just like you know how my brain, I call it the popcorning, you know, when somebody gives you ideas that activate and then they start like popcorning around with all these other ideas and pop, and they're like, oh wow, and it's just a really exciting time. But I still love that, you know. I feel like you really still exemplify that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why one of the reasons why we love Investigate so much. Like, I mean, you have you have a dedicated fan base for sure, right? Who would listen to you and watch you do whatever you decide to do anytime, right? But it's true. We
It's
would,
true.
you
That's
know?
true. Yeah.
But the Investigates is so dope because you are such this like natural interviewer. You know, you get, I mean, I know you have relationships with a lot of these people, so you can ask a level of questions that the rest of us would not have an entree to, right? Like, it's just, it would seem a little bit intrusive if I was to start to get into somebody's background.
Actually, it's easier to talk to some of the people I don't know as well. Because I know from my own castmates what they don't want to get into and talk about.
Okay.
And
That's the
so,
good stuff.
so I, you know, when I'm talking to somebody, like when I talked to Tawny, I didn't know that much about her. It was just like we clicked, you know. It's just like I felt like, yeah, you know, we had so many things in common, and yet you're years apart, and you're totally but yet we had so much commonality. That's what's cool, you know. Or then you talk to Doug Jones, and you see all the different things, the range of things that he's done. It's fascinating, and I genuinely am fascinated about how we've become, what made us who we are now, even though we're still in process. I feel I'm still in process.
Right.
And it's hard. It's hard because it's hard to change. And, you know, someone will say something, I'll take it in, I'll go, wow, yeah, that did come off that way. I gotta think about that, you know? So it's good to be active in it, and we make mistakes and we try to figure out why we did it and what was driving us to do this and whatever, but there's much more we have in common than right. He agreed.
Yeah. Well, I find like you ask these great questions, right? And you're really probing, and every time I'm listening to you do an interview like that, first of all, I go, damn, that's the type of interview I want to do when I grow up, you know, and like that's number one. It's like you and Charlie Rose. Like, I know Charlie Rose got a bad rap, but damn, he was such a good interviewer. But I wondered, was that skill, that inquisitiveness always there with you, or did the studying of acting sort of train that into you, or was it just a mismatch?
That's interesting. I mean, when you do acting, you do look at character, and you're looking at all that, what makes the character do what it does. So who knows? I mean, that is fascinating. It's one of the greatest things about acting, that you get to ask those questions and you know, put on someone else's skin. So that's true. I think, I know that if I had done it where we were visual, it would have changed the feeling. And
Interesting.
I made a choice to not do that. And it's going against what most people want in a way.
Yeah.
But I made a decision. I went, I'm going to be more comfortable when it's more of a private feeling, and I don't want anyone to be worried about what they look like.
Right.
And I want it to feel intimate in a way. And I'd love to go even further in stuff, but always I say to people, anything you're uncomfortable with, I will take out. And I will always, if no one has asked me to, but I absolutely feel that way. I do not want anyone to feel uncomfortable. I want them to, I'm trying to make them look good, basically.
Right, exactly.
And learn about them. Yeah. And the thing that I've had to learn is to shut up more. Really.
That's very, very good advice.
So I have actually, that's why I edit. I try to edit myself out of there a lot of times, because sometimes you tell a story that gets someone else to tell their story.
Right.
How are you hungry? Just, I don't know.
Maybe he wants to be on. He wants to be on the show too.
Camera.
Maybe he probably does. Yes.
Right.
He's a SyFy Sister fan.
Yes. He is a bit of a narcissist.
Pick him up and be like, "Look, you're on camera. Are you happy?"
Right now.
But I've started to really get into some questions. I mean, I think this season I actually was the most comfortable I've been.
Okay.
Now I don't know how people are going to read that, and but for me, I felt the most comfortable because. And it's hard when you're doing it on Zoom as opposed to when the person's right in the studio with me. There's a difference. But I mean, it was fun. It was really fun. I like researching people. So
I noticed that your research is awesome.
I was trying to learn some of the language that his parents spoke, and
cool.
it's just learning things. It's fun. It's fun. It's not, nothing is a drag. It's all like super exciting to go, oh my God, they did that, and listen to that interview, what they said. And, I love it.
All that research really comes through in your shows. It just makes them, because you have this background tapestry layer of knowledge to bring to the conversations. It's just, it's really one of my all-time favorite podcasts. I love this.
That's so nice.
I love it. Love it.
Wait till you hear Jess Bush. I mean, it's amazing. She's amazing. Okay. I mean, everyone is. I'm telling you, it's, I really loved all the people that I talked to so much. Yeah. I really did. Do you have a most surprising thing that you've learned sometime, like from one of the guests, that you like never would have guessed? Like somebody would have said, like, "Oh yeah, that's." I think what surprises me is how some people, not everybody, but like Jess Bush was just open. There's some people who are just open.
Yeah.
And I really admire that.
Yeah.
Because I feel I've spent so many years trying to protect and cover, right?
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And it's really freedom. It's freedom to just not care so much, just be yourself. And it's something I struggled with for years. So I love it when I see that. That's always really unexpected. Or when somebody will share something and say, I haven't really talked about this, but, and again, I will take it out if they want me to. So I'm not an investigative reporter. I'm not trying to get them to, reveal something they're uncomfortable with just so I can get a higher rating.
Right.
So that's why, to me, I want to just, I don't know. I mean, I'll see how it evolves, and I maybe it'll be picked up next year. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But I really I've learned a lot about myself, actually. I don't know if you feel that way, but when you...
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do. Like the more, I feel like it's like I have the joy of talking to people whose brains work differently than mine. And when you're when you're really actively listening to those responses coming from people, you are like finding the ways that you can identify with them and find kinship with them. And that often leads me to places that I didn't expect, corners of myself that I didn't know were there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I also find that I'm more able now to not jump in to fix it, like to let the silence be there. Because there's just a habitual thing that I always feel, oh gosh, well, I got to keep this going. And I don't have to keep it going. Nobody's telling me I have to do that, right? I mean, just be still. And it's something that I'm working really hard on trying to do more and more. I think I like myself better when I'm able to do that,
We are almost never able to do that because there are 4 of us and we are crazy.
That's right. But then there's another whole thing
on a podcast.
There's a whole another thing with the 4 of us. Yeah.
But it's also quite wonderful. So, I mean, it's just different,
Yeah.
And it's I don't, I mean, I think I need like to be more still, to be more honest and not performative. You know what I mean?
Yes, I get that.
But it's hard. It's hard.
I want to go back to one of the things you said about Just Bush and about people who being so open and people being so open. And a couple of times in this conversation, I've thought about it because we've had a lot of shows with a lot of women who are so much younger than us, who are so inspirational to us. And we tell them all the time, like we're finding so much inspiration. And, there is a freedom that this younger generation has that to me is so inspiring, because like I'm listening to you talking about being coming up in the 60s and 70s and feeling like everybody was telling you to behave one way or the other. And I'm a child of the 70s and 80s who was like, it was all punk rock and it was like, I'm gonna do my thing, which was also still performative though, right? And and what I'm seeing in these women now is like, I don't give a shit, this is my truth. I'm speaking it. I'm living it. I'm wearing it, except my hair, except my looks, except my body, except my voice, everything. Like, I'm just going to do me. And it is so freeing.
It is great. And I do think that Black women are a big force in this happening. I think that has to be said.
I think so too. Thank you for saying it, because I absolutely agree. Yeah. I wish more allied women would say that.
No, I mean, it to me is like clear, it's really clear. I think and it's great. It's it's powerful.
It's very powerful. Yeah.
We're just sick and tired of being sick and tired.
That's right.
That's it. And I as we talked earlier, I do have 3 daughters. I bring them up all the time. Sorry, guys. But I do see exactly what Tamia was talking about, and different, I have 2 sets of kids, different kind of age groups. And my younger 2 are so free with their womanhood. You know what I mean? Just being a woman is just so free to them. And it's, I don't think I noticed it until they became women. And I'm like, wow, when I was their age, I thought I was free. Nope.
Right?
Not at all.
Through sophomore year in college, I was still wearing a girdle. Not that I needed it, but I was wearing a girdle. I was so uncomfortable.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. My mother always said she could not.
We're like the last of the girdle wearers here.
That's right. That's right. Sabrina, were you wearing a girdle too? Fran?
Oh,
Did you guys
I've had. Oh, jeez.
Did your mother say you could not go out the house without a girdle? I know that's like in my family.
Your mother didn't have to tell you that.
Oh, okay.
That's what you were supposed to do.
You had one, you wore it.
Yeah, you
Wow.
couldn't wait to
I
get
mean, you
your
needed the little
girdle. It's like
snappy things to keep your fishnets up. What were you gonna do? You had to put mine were lime green.
Oh my.
Lime green fishnets. I am not lying.
Okay. I believe
Okay.
you.
I believe you, Sabrina.
Except, see, I had this other whole side, which was I was down at the dance studio, and a lot of those girls were getting knocked up at 16,
Oh,
and they were not getting the same. Not all of them, but
right.
many of them
Enough.
Yeah.
were. You know, they didn't have the educational opportunities. They didn't. No one was talking to them about, hey, you should think about law school, or hey, you should think about that. Nobody talked about that. It was so that was interesting. And that was fishnets and, you know, wearing costumes and doing all that. And I did that for years and years. And then I'd go to the school and everybody had their mohair sweaters. And I mean, you know, it really
Yeah.
was like schizophrenic in a way. I don't think I knew who the hell I was. And I finally got to Brandeis and it was like, oh, I can figure this. I can start to figure this out because nobody cared so much.
Right.
Nobody cared what I wore. They didn't care
No.
about, you know, they would care if you could sing like Janis Joplin. You know,
Right.
there was so much I didn't know. I was like, it was amazing how dumb I was. It was amazing.
I'm
My
from
big-
Boston, so I remember, you know, Brandeis, like I said, was the place that, you know, if you could hang out, if you could pass for like a little older, you would hang out there. But, you know, that whole ring of schools was just full of radicalism and
Yeah,
bra burning. And I mean, we were all down at the Boston Common. That was like where you went after school
that's
to
right.
see whatever
Boston
protest was going on, right? You
Wow.
were
Or
gonna go down there. What
Cambridge
were we
Common.
protesting?
Yeah,
Cambridge Common was even wilder, yes, with the Boston Common.
that was really big for feminism. Cambridge Common.
Yes.
It was.
Yes.
And then what was funny is that I got paid so well for this. I was waiting tables and I waited on these guys from Harvard. It was somewhere in Cambridge, some Italian restaurant. And they liked me and they started talking about dancing. I don't know how it came up, but they were like, oh man, you should choreograph for the Harvard Hasty Pudding show. And they happened to be the president of the Harvard Hasty Pudding or whatever.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
my
And
goodness.
so I ended up, and they were not radicals, okay? Let me
No.
just-
Right.
So
Well, you
there
were at
I
an Italian
am
restaurant.
going
They told
from
you they went to Harvard.
Brandeis,
No.
going from Brandeis to Harvard Hasty Pudding Club, which I'd never seen a club like that. Like they had dinner up in the club, and it was like they were all having cocktails. No one at Brandeis. They were all smoking joints. Nobody was having.
Right.
Right? I mean, it was so bizarre for me, and I just did. It was like, okay, I didn't know who I was.
It's a well-lived
You were
life.
being
Yeah.
formed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I loved growing up in Boston and Cambridge back in those days. There was a lot bad, but there was a lot. You're reminding
was
me
great.
of a lot of good stuff.
It was
Yeah.
great. I'm with
Yeah.
you. It was really a great place. And listen, I'm a punk rocker too. Okay, I'm just saying.
Yes.
Okay?
I knew it.
I'm a hip hop. I mean I like all kinds of music except I'm not huge on pop. I have to say that's like
Yeah,
my
same.
Same.
place.
Same.
Yeah.
All right. Since you brought that up. Okay. What you listening to now, Gates? What's on your playlist?
Well, you know, I don't do what I used to do, which is know all the names. I really listen to music from all over the place. Like I will go and listen to a whole thing of just African drummers, and then I'll listen to classical guitar things that are from Spain. Not the ones I know, like really like off the grid people. But you know, I think there's a lot of I love music that I can dance to. I mean, I really do love that, and I love listening to people. There was a Venezuelan singer who was on the radio, and I'm like, who is she? I mean, it was amazing. I think that's where it's good to have Spotify or Apple Music. You know,
Right.
you
Yeah.
can search it out, and I do that all the time. And I can't remember all this stuff, but I have a very huge variety of
Okay.
I love
music.
it.
I like
I love that.
you know, Japanese. There's a great French new album that just came out. I love it. And I love French rap from Marseille. It's
Ooh.
great.
Yes.
There's some really good rappers.
Mhm.
So I like Charles Aznavour. I like a range of music, right?
Ooh,
I love that. I love
dreamy.
that.
Easy.
That's my
Dream.
thing. Like I always like, I like it all. I love to. I feel like you never know what type of. I don't like to be boxed in when it comes
Yeah.
to pigeonholed.
Yeah.
And people want to do. Society wants to do that all the time. People
All the
want to
time.
put you,
Right.
in these. And I'm like, people get in my car and they hear a country song coming up on my Spotify list, and they're like looking at me, and I'm like, hey,
I like
it's a good song.
It's a good
You know?
song.
Yeah. And when
good
my
song.
son was 6, I would be playing rap music in the car, 6 or 7, I don't know. It was like whatever, and he'd go, "Mom, please, can we listen to some classical music?" Because he was learning violin, and he was
Oh,
learning, but it was literally, he said that. I laughed so hard.
I know you did.
I was like, I wanted to have that on tape and he likes rap and all that now, but I mean, it was pretty funny.
That's
he was
funny.
like,
At
"Please."
6.
It was
I
great.
love
Boy,
that.
how
I
the
love-
tables were turned.
Turned.
As a child, like coming up the way I did, like my parents always played their playlist, but their playlist went back many, many, many decades. My father was a vocalist, and
Oh, wow.
I didn't grow up with my dad. Like I didn't meet him till I was like later in college, but my mom was still like the music was still integral to our lives. So my dad sang with the Flamingos, and then he went and sang with the Dells, and so they were playing. I was growing up with music like that, and like music all the way from doo-wop and before, like the golden eras, all the way up through funk, and then then reggae, and then punk, and
Yes.
all of it. Like all of it. I feel like growing up in the 70s and 80s, it gave you everything. You just like everything was all mished up, and we were like, yes. And then MTV came along. We're like, what?
Yeah.
This is even better.
Right?
Yeah. Crazy. It's amazing. I mean, music is so powerful. There's some things that I hear, and it's not even because I'm connecting with the words. I just get
Yeah.
tears. It's powerful. It's
Mhm.
powerful on different levels.
Yeah.
And it is the language that we all speak. We all know music, and
Yeah.
like Louis Armstrong was a huge idol of
Oh.
mine, I have to say. My son did trumpet for a while, and I just had him learning all of my favorite Louis.
All right.
Scarsdale in Alabama,
Wow.
Yeah, I love that song.
it's
Oh.
yeah, he's a very special person
Yeah.
in my life.
Yeah.
I felt he was very, I don't know, should I say this? He was sort of like Christ-like to me in a certain way. I felt he took a lot of slings and arrows.
Yes.
And
Ooh.
yet
Yep.
he bridged a gap.
He didn't know
He
Yeah.
helped.
what he was doing behind the scenes. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, I just think for someone who came from nothing, I mean, really,
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. Louisiana orphanage.
it's just pretty amazing.
Mhm.
To just teach yourself to play like that. Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Natural talent. Speaking of music, I have a music source in every room in my apartment, including the bathroom.
Mhm.
Every room, living room, kitchen, bedroom. Don't I, Sabrina? The
Yes,
bathroom, every room, I have a music source because
I love
music.
that.
I do every room, and it's with technology. I can say because I can't say it too loud because this bitch is listening.
Uh-oh.
Alexa, play such and such and such. Alexa, play such and such. Oh, in the bathroom, it's computer play so much such and such and such. He's always listening. I'm
Well,
trying to
all
look
the
at
people,
Star
I see all
You
the
know.
chat. I'm agreeing with all of these people who are saying, all these people. So
Yeah.
I agree with everybody's suggestion of music. I love them all. I mean, it really
Right.
is. It's amazing, and it sets a mood for you, and it brings out
Yes.
parts it's amazing, isn't it? So powerful.
It's
Yeah.
mood
find
and
it-
mind altering.
I
Yes.
have to like consciously not turn on the television when I walk in the house these days. I used to always walk in the door and I would just be silent for, 10 minutes to half an hour, wouldn't turn anything on. And then eventually I'd turn on music. And these days I find myself like walking in, it's like, okay, get to the next thing, and not stopping, not doing that pause. And then it's like, okay, click on the television and then go do this and instead of the music. So that's actually been one of the things I've been working on lately, is going back to my music and getting less of this out of my ear,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
more of
Yeah.
this in my soul,
Yes.
Exactly.
Absolutely. We just that taking that time, and music is a way of doing that. It is.
Mhm.
And also, I think it is good to move. And man, I cannot. There's certain music that I have to move if I listen to it. I don't mean
Yes.
I'm dancing a normal thing, but I mean, I
Yes.
love moving around, sort of dancing, slithering through the house.
Yeah.
Sometimes pogoing. I mean, whatever it is,
Whatever works.
it works. It's good.
Yeah.
Gets us out of just
Ooh,
listening to
that's a
the
good one.
news, what's the latest thing, and
Ooh.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one right there.
I was married to such a music head that we were registered at Tower Records, and it just
Really? Yeah.
Same.
made his life. Yes.
For your wedding registry was at
My
Tower
wedding
Records?
registry was at Tower Records, and I
I
told him,
love you.
And you
"Not
did it too,
down
Yvette?
to get knives and forks. You get to go to Tower Records, and you need to list every album you want." He was
That's
like,
I can't
fabulous.
believe
That's
that,
awesome.
Sabrina. So was ours.
I've never heard that. That's
That's-
fabulous.
How cool is that?
Because
very
we
cool.
That is
Tower
fantastic.
Tower
our
Record
first
bridal
date
registry.
was at Tower Records down in the Village. That was our first.
Wow.
We dated in college, but like our first one, it was like we
At
met.
your
Well,
place.
music is my thing. I actually married the DJ, so
Oh my gosh.
that's how much I
That's
love.
great.
But
Oh,
yeah,
I love that.
that was our big, our really big first date was at Tower Records in the Village.
You married a DJ, and I married a drummer
Yep.
and a sound engineer.
Yep.
Record stores, guys. Remember record stores?
Record
Oh
stores.
my God.
Be in
I
there
know.
all day.
I've got
All
my
day.
records still. I've kept my records,
Do
and
you?
I've
Me
even
too.
kept my cassettes. And people keep saying, "You are nuts. It takes up so much room." But I mean, I just remember flipping those things in and loving
Yeah.
it.
Yes. Yes. Ooh.
I love it.
Ooh.
You know?
Covers, the liner
remember-
notes,
you remember
just
when they-
reading them.
Remember when they came out with the boom box that would flip the cassettes for you, or would automatically play the next
Mhm.
side?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I do
Yeah.
remember that. You're right.
Yeah.
I had that when I was teaching. I would use that a lot because I'd have. Yeah, that's great.
Wow.
Star Trek and
Album.
music, the universal languages, right?
That's right.
Right? They
Exactly.
say I'm still going to record stores. All right, girl.
So I know we're running out of time, and I want to go back to Investigates,
Okay.
because this is the reason for the season right now.
Mhm.
And I mean, so yes, we're all excited. I know you've probably talked about it with other people, but I'm interested to know, like, when you did Investigates, like, what really made you want to do it? Was it like a pandemic response, or was it something that's been brewing for for a while?
Not at all. It was I was asked to by Brian Volk Weiss, who is in Estelle
Oh.
Productions, who's a
Mhm.
doctor.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian. He's
We
a
love
friend
Brian.
of the show.
And I was like, why would you want me to do a podcast? I mean, and I was like, no, I don't think so, and everything. He just was persistent.
Mhm.
It's one thing's very clear is I do not know what's good for me. I didn't know that I should do Star Trek Next Generation. I mean, there's just so many ways in my life. I don't have the impulse to just like, well, yeah, that's a great opportunity.
Mhm.
I think it's my father's the power of negative thinking. Like, why would anyone want me to do that? So, and then I was with my two really good friends, Aida Kroll and Tracy Lee, and we would go back and forth. We had talked about this a couple times during the pandemic. We hung out because we all knew we were safe, and so we would hang out. And I said, I don't know, should I do it? Should I not? And I talk about it. And we had discussed it. And
Oh no!
Oh my God!
We
What
lost
happened?
Gates.
Oh no!
Oh no!
That cat.
That was,
It's that darn cat.
it was
I
the
know,
cat.
right?
Talks amongst yourselves.
Okay, talk amongst yourself. Hopefully
Give her
she'll
a
be
minute,
back.
dial
She'll
back
be
in.
back soon. Thanks to everybody in the chat for
Here she
all
is.
of
Sorry.
Oh,
the
you guys-
wonderful stuff.
wow,
Yes.
it was a powerful story, and that's how it happened. No, okay.
We blame the cat.
It wasn't, what did I do? I didn't touch anything. Anyway, whatever.
It doesn't
Very-
matter. You're back.
So your dog, this is the God's truth. I said, I'm going to take a biscuit in both hands.
Mhm.
If Luna takes it out of this hand, I'm not doing it. If she takes it out of this hand, I'm doing it. Okay.
Wow.
And I put him out there, and I swear to God, the dog was like, I'm not kidding you. It was like a whole performance. And at the last minute, went and took it from the hand that I said I'd do it, and I went, well, I guess I'm doing it.
Wow.
You're doing it.
So
Thank you,
that
doggy.
was how I made that final decision, and Luna was right, you know.
Wow.
So
Right,
it took
Luna.
me a while to get comfortable,
Mhm.
but now I'm really having a good time. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad. You know, like
Jay. That means now that explains everything, Jay.
So there really wasn't like, oh, gee, I think I'm really good at this. I think I
Mhm.
should do it. It wasn't quite that at all. Not at all.
It's like, well, it seems like such a natural fit, you know, like and I've told you why already. You know, I could say it again, you know, because I mean, I do really like fangirl over this show.
No, I'm
because-
telling you, I listen to myself when I'm trying to edit anything, and I just sometimes just go, oh my God.
But see,
It's like-
that's the other thing that I think is cool. You're not just getting up on a mic. Like I get up on a mic. There's somebody else who does all of our audio.
Well, they do my
editing.
fine tuning editing, but I edit the thing of like, okay, no, you know, I edit it because I always have way more than I can put in the thing. First of all,
Mhm.
not always. I mean, again, there's no one way I do it,
Right.
but it does take me a long time. And the hardest part, well, Rudy, come in here if you're going to complain.
Come on, Rudy.
Come on, Rudy.
The thing that finally happens is that I just, you know, it's unbearable to listen to yourself talk pretty much. So you just have
It
to.
is.
It is.
It is. Yes.
And
I hear it
love
when
all
I-
these women, and then if I would have to listen back to what I said, I would hate it. So, you know,
But
I'm not going to listen back to what I say. I'm just going to like be present and love you guys.
oh, I love that. When I listen back to our old shows, I always end up going, damn, I was talking a lot. Like, did I talk that much? Why does nobody tell me I talk this much?
I do. You don't listen
you-
to me either.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You
So,
always say,
so how did you guys get your idea to do this?
Oh boy.
you-
Fran.
who can give this? Who can give the truncated version?
Oh, not Fran.
Well, I had a podcast before this,
Okay.
and then Discovery came out, and we were at a convention, and we wanted to talk about Discovery. We've talked about this a million times about our origin story,
Yes.
and you know, we just couldn't get a word in edgewise, or we couldn't ask the questions that we really wanted to ask. Fran was with me. That's where I met Fran at the Discovery panel at the convention. But we had met online,
And me,
and then Tamia came running over. Yeah, this was like in the.
I sat
she
with
said,
you
"Can I
guys.
sit with you?"
thank
It
you.
was so funny. It was just so funny. Can I sit with you guys? Like at the cafeteria in school or something. And we came out of there really frustrated, and the three of us were just like, you know. we're
Okay,
gonna
wait a
just-
minute. You
It
left
was-
out a part.
All right, go, friend.
Tamia came over to me. We got out in the hallway, and you know we get out there, and you know how black women especially, we said, well, what's that? What we all were looking at each other like, what the hell?
What the heck just happened in there?
You know? So I said, well, me and this other lady, we're getting together and we're gonna do something about this shit. Okay, I'm cussing a lot tonight. I don't normally do this, but I'm cussing her. I said, we're gonna do something about this shit, right? She said, and Tamia say, well, can I join you? I said, hold it, stay right there. I'll be right back. Because I had to go over to Sabrina and say, I said, this other sister want to join us. Come on over here. Come on with me. So she said, so Sabrina came over and we said, yes,
Oh,
we're going
that's
to do
great.
this shit.
Yep.
That's
And
cool.
that's how we started. Like,
That's
we
how we
started as a
started.
reaction because other people were not allowing us a voice. We were in there to talk about Discovery. We were in there to talk about Michael Burnham
Sonequa.
being the first, and Sonequa being the first female Black lead of a Star Trek show ever. And they talked about all these other things, which is also great about Discovery. But there was a room full of Black women, and all of us are raising our hands to contribute to the conversation. And everybody looked over us and called on other people to talk. And we said, this is the last time we're silenced. We'll just do our own damn thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The panels are tricky because it depends on if you have someone who's guiding it. There's no way a room full of a lot of people you're going to get something as in depth as if you're just sitting there talking like we're talking now, or one-on-one. I mean, that's what I like about it, and I like actually trying to keep talking and then find out what are the things about them that you had no idea about. I mean, there really are things that are surprising stories. Everybody's got these stories, and to me, the interesting thing, I don't think of it as like a challenge, but the interesting thing is finding a way to make it so that it's natural that they open up and want to share it. You know?
Yeah.
And so I feel sometimes the tricky thing is sometimes I have the stories of mine I'll edit out, or when I've already said the story on another episode, but I actually know the story could be useful to this person who doesn't know the story, and it might or might not lead them to want to talk to somebody, because I think that there's something about the mutual, it's a conversation. It's not just an interview. Some people want an interview. Some people do want an interview. And other people really, they want a conversation.
Yeah.
It was Sabrina and I defending Sonequa Martin Green on a regular basis online, you know, because there was a whole lot of, they got a lot of virtual, just, you know, and we was like, what the hell is going on here? So what we decided to do, y'all don't have to make room at your table for us. We're going to build our own table. And that's what we did. We had to. They gave us no choice. So that's what we did.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, I love what you just hit on too, though, is about the conversation, because that's what I feel like makes us a little bit different than a lot of other shows. So you do get people sometimes who are just like waiting, like they're waiting to be interviewed. You have to lead them. It's harder to get into that back and forth dialogue like we're having. But our home, like we always tell everybody, we're here to have a conversation.
Right. We start off that way.
Like we let people know from the outset, like, you know, I'm going to have some questions to get us started, you know, but hopefully we can just engender a space that feels like it's a good, you know, respectful back and forth between each other, you know.
So let me ask you a question, you guys. So we're praying.
Investigates.
Well, no, but I mean, this is like, so obviously if the election goes the way we want, fantastic. That's just super. If it doesn't, how do we, what's the next step? If it doesn't, do we, you know, throw up our hands and walk away? Do we go, I'm not happy. How am I going to deal with this? I mean, it's something to think about before it happens. I mean, I've been crushed in my life by election. You know, it was devastating when Hillary didn't get it, but it was I go back to McGovern. It was devastating. I was so naive. I thought McGovern. Well, I was
Sabrina.
Right, she
really thought McGovern was going to win, huh?
I thought we're going to change the world.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. I was like 2019, whatever it was. I was like, yeah, we're going to change the world, and we just had all these assassinations.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
I mean, our heroes were just kind of taken away, whether they had complicating personal things,
Right.
whatever. But Martin Luther King and the two Kennedys. I mean, it was a big
Malcolm.
deal.
And Malcolm.
To have it
Malcolm
happen,
X,
yeah, and Malcolm X, yeah,
Mhm.
totally,
Yeah.
right like that.
It's
Boom,
hard
boom,
to
boom,
it's
boom, boom.
hard
I
to
can't
have
imagine living through that.
So it's like,
ugh,
I just
it
go,
was
is there going to be another? I mean, if there's people rushing to
I
knock
mean,
each other down, what's my place in it? And I don't
yeah.
know. Have you thought about that, or what? Where are we? Where are you on that? I'm
I,
curious.
I think as Black
Mhm.
women, we know that things can go wrong,
Yeah.
and we have
Yeah.
to we have to persevere. We got to still feed our kids. We got to still feed our families. Still got to work. We still got to live another day, and
Yeah.
you just
Mhm.
keep fighting. I mean, I don't know what else is there to do.
Right.
If it does not go our way, even if it goes our way, we still gonna have to fight.
We're still gonna have to
Yeah.
fight. I mean,
Yeah.
like we just got briefed in DC today. Like, the people for the emergency management people were briefing the city council in Washington, DC here, and they're saying they used words like riots. We have to prepare for mass riots, no matter who wins
Yep.
the election.
wow.
And that's language that they do not use ever. They do not want to use language like that because they don't want to scare the public, right?
Right.
People have been talking, people in the know on the inside have been quietly telling people to just start stocking up your toilet tissue and your canned goods and stuff, because we don't know what's going to go down with this
Wow.
election, and like, so, and I'm living here. I lived here through January 6th, and I lived here through all of that orange man being in the White House and blocking off public land and not letting us get to, and having militia on the streets of DC who were not and acting as an army. He literally had militia coming in from this country with no insignias, with these mismatched uniforms, carrying all these assault rifles and stuff, guarding him. And I
Fences
just
all
think
around the White House. It was just
fences.
like
I mean, so I
it was
think
just
that,
crazy.
like, what Yvette said is absolutely true, and what I'm seeing in the chat is absolutely true. Like, I know a lot of people, and I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not like being judgmental about anybody. I wouldn't blame people that if he won, if they wanted to exercise their passports and get the hell out of Dodge. I do not
Mhm.
blame people, because I understand that we all have to make individual choices for what's right for our survival, right? But I come from that type of stock. Like, you're not running me off of my block. You're not running. I got to fight for what I believe in. We come from this line of
How
people
long
who
have we
fought.
I fight
We
right. I
fought. Our
fought for this
people
country for
fought for
12
me to
years. There
be
ain't no way in
here.
the world. No
Our
way.
people fought for me to be here. Somebody's black ass was whipped multiple times for me to be
Yeah.
here and exist and open my mouth and do what I'm doing today. It would be an absolute disservice and dishonor for me to turn my back on that.
Well, and the other
That's the
thing
way I
is,
feel.
it's happening all over the world. I
Mhm.
mean,
Right.
Yeah.
it's not
Not just
just
here.
here. And
It's
so
not just
actually,
here.
it's like, before anyone's, whatever their choice is, it's like, it's just a time to really be present and think about things and really,
Yeah, and I'm,
really get
You
that
know,
one.
Gage, it's like
What?
what you were talking about earlier. It's a time where things don't go your way, and it's a time when look, you were Brandeis, you protested.
Yeah,
And this is one of the rights that we have in this country to
that's right.
actually protest peacefully, make our decision. Come out and say what you don't want, like you don't want to go to war, you don't want this, you don't want mass, expulsion of people. You want, safe border, whatever you want. So I think that one of the things we have to do is be wary, and it's hard to know the true news. Now you can't even get the true facts, but to stay woke
Yeah,
about what is voted
yeah,
on, and don't turn your back and just say, well, I can't do anything. Tell your congressman what you want the vote to be. I mean, watch what they're doing. Who is not showing up in Congress? Because that's where all the power is. I mean,
Mhm.
Trump can say whatever the hell he wants
well,
to say.
it's
He
also,
cannot
it's
do this stuff by himself as the president. He cannot do it. That's not how it goes. There's
no,
other
it's also your Board of Education. It's like all of
exactly.
your local
Mhm.
judges. It's all of
Especially your Board of Education.
yeah, and
So if it goes
it's
the wrong way,
finding a
you just need to be aware, and you need to keep an
yeah.
eagle eye until the 4 years are over and we're back to normal again.
I know
But
sometimes the amount of information is so
Yeah.
You know, it's exhausting, and you just, you know, I have to just say no. Right, local government, you know,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
we all know that it's harder than just saying it. It's really
Right.
hard to do it, and
Absolutely.
I'm considering going back to teach. I mean, I'm trying to
Mm.
find ways that I at least can find some satisfaction in giving back in a way that I feel I can do. Like I could not make I could not be a good politician. I'm not a good politician. I know I would I don't know how to be diplomatic the way
Right.
you need to be.
Right
I
there,
don't.
get in good
And
trouble.
so you have to find other ways, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
protest is a way. I mean, I don't see
no,
any reason
Well,
why,
yeah.
you know, we went to the streets for other things, during the pandemic, we went to the streets, I mean, and got things changed. It's a way, and I'll be ready to march. If it don't go my way, get ready. We're gonna be back on the Boston Common.
But voting is the key, folks. Voting is the
Voting is the
key.
key.
yeah, voting in those local elections, being
Local elections. Yep.
aware of the issues that
Aware.
we're facing. And I think like Fran was saying, or some of you guys just said, like, it's kind of like an old fashioned style of civil interaction, like writing your congressperson
Mhm.
or your local officials or your elected officials and letting them know, like, because one of the things that we know about human psychology is that people who are upset about something tend to be really loud about it, and
Mhm.
people who are pleased with how everything, they just let it go, they're not saying anything. But we have to be really loud and really vocal, just as loud and vocal as these people, these antagonistic people are being. I feel that way.
Uh, can I say one other thing that is really upsetting to me these days? And it's just it's a tragedy. The money that we are spending on both campaigns, the
Oh.
amount of money that is being spent, it's horrible.
It is.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
horrible that we could solve the whole public school situation
Yes.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
homeless situation and
Homeless.
everything.
Yeah.
It's
Kids
like
could eat lunch.
we have to find
Be a lot of
more,
change.
we have to get more parties or something,
Yes.
something just too, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, we were saying that.
We're tribal, but two tribes kind of, and it's just,
Yeah.
right. Okay. Rudy. All right.
There you go.
He knows
Well,
the tribe he wants to be. He wants to be in the cat food tribe.
There you go.
I mean, it is like,
Yeah.
I mean, we have gone over our hours. So
All right.
Oh,
Well, anyway, I love you guys.
Yeah.
Come on, Rudy.
Gates, when is do you have a date for the new
Yeah.
season?
Yeah, it's the 7th.
The 7th of November?
Yeah, November. Yeah.
My
Yes.
birthday present.
Yeah, I did
Yeah,
it
that's
for
right.
you.
That's your
I did it
birthday.
for you. I said I want it on her birthday. Damn it,
I'm telling everybody. That is for my birthday. Everybody.
Happy birthday. All
Thank
right?
you. Oh my God.
Oh,
You guys are
thank-
awesome. Really a pleasure.
So are you. So are you. I mean,
Thank
I,
you.
We'll do
I
it
feel
again.
like
We'll do it again.
yeah, we would love to. We feel like we could talk to you forever, and again, we're just going to say it again. You've always been so generous with the fans. You've always been so generous with the Star Trek community, just a really generous human being. That's why we admire you. That's why we stick with you, because like you played the role, and anybody can play a role, but you are a really fantastic human being who we love and adore.
Oh.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I mean, I don't quite agree, but I'm okay? Thank you. And thank you for being so awesome. All right.
Thank you.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everybody out there, thanks for watching. Thanks for enjoying the
Chat,
evening with
chat.
us. And Yvette, do we have any announcements that we have to get out before we go?
No, I'm gonna. We have 2 Moons and a Microphone tomorrow. Please watch that. It's the Halloween special. Next monsters, right? Next, so we are gonna have a vote election show. It is gonna be invite only. I apologize, but that's the way we're gonna have to have it. If you're in the mothership, you will see the link, and if you want to come to the show, please email us at info@syfysistas.com, and we will it's not going to be open. I'm sorry. we just
Mhm.
can't chance it that way. So
Yeah.
But we will
Yeah.
put it up on our,
Security.
we put it up on the Mothership and in the SyFy Sistas book club, right?
right, we'll have it
Mhm.
there. So yeah,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
that's that.
So join us on Facebook on the Mothership if you're not already on the Mothership, and if you're not
Mhm.
in the SyFy Sistas book club, join us there if you want to come. Okay, we love you guys. Peace, love, and hair grease, peoples.